So I'm very excited to share this video and share this workflow that we've been working on. Shout out to Mustafa on my team who has built this. So first time I recorded this, it was a bit long, so I'm trying to shorten it down a small bit. But a couple of weeks ago, I posted on LinkedIn about if I was an AE at Salesforce, here's what I would do differently today using AI. The fourth point caught a bit of attention, and basically what it was is with AI I can reference exactly how a prospect's main strategic objective ties exactly into our product, highlight the exact case study that is relevant to them, get AI to find the person, validate their email and add them to a campaign. So there was a couple of people, Giovanni, Angela, Melissa, this is for you. But also obviously everybody else, just to show what's possible with Clay and automation and AI. So basically as a first step, and again, we're assuming that I'm an AE at Salesforce. So that's the sort of workflow that we've created is based off that assumption. So as a first step, we basically scraped every case study on Salesforce website, which is obviously a tremendous amount of information and data. With each of the case studies, we now have all the information: description, headline, the client, the industry. We're able to pull basically the headline metric, supporting metrics, the products that they used, and again, the industry. To achieve that, there's a couple of prompts that you need to create and set up. This video isn't to go through a how-to. It's to explain more of what's possible. But in this quick example, basically, you're AI trained to read Salesforce customer success stories, and you have to come back with all this information: industry, solution, headline, company size, supporting metrics. This is the data that we need to allow the rest to happen. So once we've extracted all that information, we want to basically do a summary. So we created a Clagent prompt that basically pulled the challenge summary, the solution summary, the result summary, the primary use case, and the target outcome. The target outcome obviously being very important. What was the business outcome that was achieved? Because this will be related to some sort of strategic objective that the company and your prospects are trying to achieve. So this is the first step. We have all this amazing information. Secondly, we move on to your prospect list. So these are a list of companies, let's say, that you're trying to target. So as a first step, we want to figure out of our prospects, who are their ICP, who are they targeting, what are the problems that they're solving. So we have this prompt that comes back with ICP, the industry that they sell to, the personas, their value proposition, and the industries that they serve and that they're in. So now we have the main industry. So what we're trying to do now is connect the dots. We're trying to connect the most relevant case study based on the industry that your prospect is in. So here we have this information. We then have a prompt here that basically goes and tries to find your prospects' growth priorities and strategic focus. Obviously, this is only going to work if it's publicly available and it's mentioned and it's discussed online. The good thing is that it will give the reasoning as to where it pulled the information from, so we can at least go in and make sure that the information is accurate. So we then did a prompt to figure out, is there a fit between Salesforce and your prospect? Then we're using basically using Claude 3.5 here to help output snippets that we could potentially use in an email outreach. So the strategic objectives that have been mentioned previously in the long output, we basically want to use a shorter version in an email outreach. Again, we have the target outcome. Now at this point, basically, we're trying to connect the case studies to the prospects in terms of industry fit and target outcome. So for Revolut, for example, can we find another banking company that achieves, market expansion, to make sure that we're talking about the most relevant case study. We go through some additional prompts, and we basically are left with the company that we're going to use, the product that we're going to talk about, and the headline result that was achieved. So Standard Bank achieved this. We want to take all this information and go and find people who will be responsible for these initiatives. So we're basically asking ChatGPT to take the growth priorities, which were found in the previous column, and output the people who would be responsible for those initiatives. And then we use these titles to go find people within the companies. Clay have a limit, or only limits you when you're doing it in the same workflow on the table. You can only actually send 10 records to a new table. If that's not the case, please let me know. But we basically have now a list of people who work at your prospect lists that we can do outreach with. So the messaging that we're trying to create is very simple. I was doing some research. I saw a focus for the business is strategic objective, which is the reason for my email. We've helped customer reference achieve X, Y, and Z after implementing our product. Would you be, if we're able to show you the same results, would you be open to discussing? So what does that look like? If we take Alfonso, for example, we have now pulled in the strategic objective of Revolut, the case study that we're going to talk about, the product that we sold, and the result that we achieved. So now we have his email. What does that email look like? Hi, Alfonso. I was doing some research into your 2025 strategic objectives. I saw a focus for the business is global expansion into new markets was the reason for my email. We've helped Standard Bank achieve 80% faster case resolutions and 28% increase in customer satisfaction after implementing our sales and service cloud. So very quickly you can see the time you would save in, first of all, collecting all this data, putting it together, finding the people. The next stage of this is now sending it to a sequencing tool, which we haven't done in this example because this is a demo and I don't work at Salesforce. But the one piece that we're still trying to build at the moment is the next part. How can we align the messaging from the strategic goals from a CEO or an executive's last podcast and basically connect the dots? So we're looking at a tool on rapidapi.com which will summarize YouTube videos. We'll send the YouTube summary back into Clay, and then we'll check if there's a fit between what was said and what we want to talk about. So that's obviously the next stage and the next level up. So if you want a deeper technical video, happy to look at that with Mustafa. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you got some value, got you thinking about what automations and AI can do.